Open world shooter games are still a big deal, and when done right, they can be amazing adventures in unforgettable worlds. These games can bring together massive worlds or even galaxies with unforgettable characters, plenty of gun choices and teamwork in battles. They can also just be great places to mess around with friends for hundreds of hours. In this list, we're going to talk about unique open-world shooters for players who like massive battles, players who want to survive the apocalypse with friends, and players that enjoy getting pulled into vast single-player worlds. Anyway, we got lots of fun and exciting games to talk about here. So let's get started off with number 10, we have Atomic Heart. Many developers wonder if single-player titles are dying or aren't worth making anymore. Well, Atomic Heart is proof that they're doing just fine. Not long after its release, the game had millions of players within it and plenty of buzz and praise for its familiar yet fun take on the FPS genre. The game occurs in an alternate history where the Russians built a utopia, but things fell apart when their robots went haywire and their mutant experiments broke loose. You play the man trying to survive the madness while learning what happened in the utopia. In the game, you'll have special weapons and abilities that you can use to take out these robots with really fast-paced, satisfying combat. This is one of those games that gives you a pretty nice big area, including a lot of interiors and exteriors full of bizarre, weird, sometimes beautiful stuff. This game tells a weird story in a really weird way in a great open world. And overall, Atomic Heart is a really worthwhile experience. Next, over at number 9, we have The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds bring a familiar feel to fans of the Fallout franchise while also adding their own spice. And while it may have seemed like yet another space RPG, you'll find out really quickly that this game is so much more than that. The game is dense with content from characters to meet, an epic story to complete, and crazy fun gameplay. Literally everything you do in this game, from how you fight to how you talk and what you don't do well, is going to affect your character, your story, and your companions. You know, the game is divided up into planets. It's not one massive sandbox, but still some of the planets that you explore are very large, so it's pretty much like an open world. It's just a really exciting universe to explore. And this title is one of the games on the list that will keep players playing for hours. If you have yet to give this game a try, this is the time to do so. Moving on to number 8, we have Just Cause series. Just Cause is a series that is highly underrated to this day. Not many players have heard about this franchise. And even if they have heard about it, it's much less that they actually played the game. Over the course of its many games, it's given you the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and cause as much destruction you want. It tells the story of Rico Rodriguez, a CIA super agent. During your playthrough, you'll be able to explore the world using vehicles as well as your wingsuit to fly and glide around the map. In addition to story missions, you'll be able to complete various challenges and destroy everything standing in your way, thanks to the weapons and gadgets obtained during gameplay. You can also upgrade and equip your wingsuit with a jetpack, rockets, and machine guns. With lots of fun things to do, I think that this game deserves more attention from gamers. And next at number 7 is Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Nearly 10 years have passed since the original launch of this game, and it was the last installment of our beloved franchise Metal Gear Solid. Phantom Pain is still a masterpiece when it comes to stealth gameplay and storytelling. This Metal Gear Solid game gives you 2 big, open-world maps to really do whatever you want. This game has a mind-blowing amount of guns and tools. You can also customize them with different equipment to suit your playstyle. And when it comes to stealth, there are so many options here, even more than Snake Eater, and they're so fun to play around with. It's also easily the biggest entry in the Metal Gear franchise, and you can easily spend dozens of hours sneaking behind enemy lines and listening to Cold War chart-topping hits. I know this game has a few flaws and a slightly unfinished atmosphere, but it's totally worth checking out. Let's move on to number 6 and talk about Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Another series that's been running a while now, Ghost Recon has reinvented itself a couple of times. Known for its large ambition, it was 2017's Wildlands that took the series fully open world. This time around, the game is set in Bolivia, where the rising power of drug cartels has become a concern to the United States government. Wildlands turns Bolivia into a vast, open world filled with dangerous thugs, and you can explore this map on land, air, and sea with over 60 different vehicles. Since this list is about open world shooter games, you will have to use a large variety of firearms to free Bolivia from the drug cartel running the country. And of course, you can either play the game by yourself or team up with other ghosts to complete missions. There's not really any other games releasing like these right now, so don't miss out on this one. Next, over at number 5, we have Days Gone. While zombie games have always been in complete abundance, few of them offer post-apocalyptic experience of being chased down by hordes of the undead in an open-world setting. Days Gone, developed by Ben Studio and released in 2019, seeks to fulfill that exact fantasy. It is a damn fun game in which you ride around on a motorcycle and take out entire hordes of zombies on the west coast of the USA. In the game, your motorcycle is your way of getting around. You need to protect this thing. Gas it up, and it is probably your most important tool for survival. I mean, melee weapons and guns, yes, of course, but the bike is the most fun aspect here, and the game offers a fair amount of freedom for those that like to explore. Taking out hundreds of zombies completely alone can give players a feeling like no other. And despite certain negative feedback, the title offers a good time for all, and everybody should experience it while they can. Next, over at number 4, we have Rage 2. Rage 2 is an over-the-top continuation of the first Rage game, and the atmosphere in this game is completely different. With this one, Bethesda attempted to bring the Rage franchise back, and with good effort. The game aims at crazy and goofy stuff with abnormal gameplay, world, and enemies. Not only did they manage to bring a fun, punchy first-person shooter to life, but they also made sure to create a dense world that feels alive. And the game shares similarities to the Mad Max world, as it is mostly desert-like, with a ton of car traveling. It also has a sprinkle of Borderlands in there, as the guns are crazy and wacky. The definite highlight here is the shooting. No other game has that feeling of action. And this one is great for those looking for simple, chaotic fun in an open-world environment. So if you give this game a shot, you need to be aware that in most cases, the most aggressive way to do things is the right way. Moving on to number 3, we have Far Cry 5. Some might find it odd that the more recent Far Cry game isn't on this list, but that one felt a bit tame and repetitive compared to what Far Cry 5 was. This game is one of the most insane titles in the entire series. Ubisoft went full tilt with this game in order to make it look and feel like you were in Montana, which in the game is the home of a cult leader called Joseph Seed, who has forced his way into controlling this country. In my opinion, this game is the best in the franchise, with a beautiful open world with all the classic elements like liberating settlements and towers, hunting and taming wild animals. It also features customizable protagonists, lots of vehicles you can drive like planes, boats, trucks, tons of weapons to use in combat, fishing, and many more. So if you are looking for a fun exploration, repetitive grinding in an exciting world, I think that this game is totally worth checking out. And next, at number 2, is Metro Exodus. The Metro series is one in a long line of post-apocalyptic titles, but Metro Exodus tries to put a spin on it by not just expanding your world, but showing you how long your journey takes you. Exodus was released in early 2019 on all major platforms to positive reception from critics, being hailed as a worthy successor to the previous 2 games. The game is not easy, as you'll have to deal with creatures both natural and supernatural. As if that's not enough, the choices you make on your way will determine who in your team lives. And there are some cool weapons that can be customized and upgraded using scavenging materials you find. It's honestly one of the best-looking post-apocalyptic games ever. You don't have to have played the first 2, as Exodus recaps them both and tells its own contained story. If you're a fan of games with survival horror and stealth elements, you'll have a good time trying to survive this one. Finally, at number 1, we have Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Despite it being an updated online multiplayer game, this is just fun, open-world shooter. Originally released in 2019, The Division 2 is a massive improvement over the first game, with more satisfying gameplay and much more engaging endgame content. The game is not about the story. Most of your time will be spent completing missions, collecting loot, and fighting enemy factions with your friends. The game takes place in a gorgeous post-apocalyptic setting of overgrown city. You can find some characteristic places to Washington like the White House or the Capitol. Ubisoft has continued to release new content since the game's debut, and it seems like they're going to continue offering new goodies on a frequent basis. While there was plenty of fans from the first one, I think it's still worth looking into this game. Besides the games I talked about in this video, there are a few more games I'd like to recommend. These games are quite popular, but just in case you haven't heard of them, which I highly doubt. They are Grand Theft Auto 5, Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2, Starfield, and last we have Fallout 4. This is our list of best open world shooter games. These top open world titles are here to absorb all your free time with rich digital worlds you won't mind getting lost in. We've played all of these through ourselves and can guarantee you a good time with any and all of them. Of course, there are so many other games though that we couldn't squeeze on this list. So I'd love to hear your choices down in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you guys in the next video.